Friday morning to you guys. Sugar Ray Leonard would beat Floyd Mayweather, says many boxing fans in certain groups. And I'm like, he couldn't get past Terry Norris, man. Norris is a much more modern fighter to the type of fighters that Sugar Ray Leonard faced in his time. And he couldn't get past that guy. How's he going to get past Floyd? Yeah. Boxing evolves. It's not staying stagnant. I watched some guys talk about guys in the early 1900s and guys in the 1940s and 30s and 60s and saying that they're going to beat modern guys today. Simple question. Sugar Ray Leonard, Thomas Hearns, Roberto Duran, those guys were 80s fighters, right? The year is now 2021. 40 years ago. Okay. Which one of those guys is going to beat Jerome Ennis? Which one of them? Which one of them is going to beat Jerome Ennis? Which one of them is going to beat Boots? The answer is none. Boots can switch hit. Boots can get new angles. Which one of them is going to beat Terrence Crawford? Which one of them is going to beat Terrence Crawford? You think Duran could beat Terrence Crawford? You think Leonard could beat Terrence Crawford? Do you think Hearns could beat Terrence Crawford? The answer is none of them. Because the sport evolves. Terrence Crawford and Jerome Ennis are switch hitters. Floyd Mayweather has shown us he can switch hit himself. Boxing the southpaw stance. Tyson Fury can switch hit. Which one of those fighters you know? We're not including Marvin Hagler because Marvin Hagler is a middleweight. Which one of those fighters you know was a switch hitter? I can go on and on. What made Marvin Hagler so great was he could switch hit. And he could turn southpaw. I see people in groups saying these things, oh, Sugar Ray Leonard would murk Floyd Mayweather. That's not happening. Not in a million years. He couldn't murk Duran. Duran was a small guy coming up. Duran beat him. Sugar Ray Leonard can't mess with Floyd. Even Sugar Ray Leonard's brother-in-law would tell you this. And he was managing Sugar Ray Leonard. He said, hey, you can't fuck with that kid. You can't. They say Floyd came up from super featherweight. So, Oscar came up from super featherweight. What's your point? When he came at welterweight, he handled his welterweight business. When Oscar was at welterweight, he handled welterweight business. That's the important thing. Leonard ain't too big for Floyd. He got some speed in his hands. He got quick hands. He do that shoe shine shit. But that shoe shine shit ain't working on Floyd. Y'all know this. He ain't Floyd Sr. It's a whole different ball game of fighter. Floyd Sr. took Floyd, pushed him to the max, things that he never did in his lifetime. And then on top of that, he had the Black Mamba training him. He had Jeff Mayweather training him. He was schooled under Pernell Whitaker. There's no way in fucking hell Sugar Ray Leonard's laying their hand on Floyd. It's not happening. Let me mention the names again because y'all stupid out here. The Black Mamba trained him. Y'all go look him up. He was schooled. He sparred Pernell fucking Whitaker. Mr. Untouchable. Possibly the greatest defensive fighter of all time. Okay? There's no way in hell Sugar Ray Leonard is even touching Floyd. He's more dynamic, got better timing, and is a way smarter fighter than Sugar Ray Leonard was because Sugar Ray Leonard liked to bang too damn much. He think he have to overpower you with his power. Sugar Ray Leonard would get tattooed up. You saw what Thomas Hearns did to him in the second fight because Thomas Hearns had some defense. You just weather those flurries. You weather the storm. You shell up, you move, And then you catch him in between his punches. I don't care how fast you are. You saw Floyd catch Oscar De La Hoya in between his punches. Oscar said Floyd had crazy ass timing. And Oscar is just a, low budget, poor man's version of Sugar Ray Leonard. And you saw how Floyd handled him. And it wasn't a split decision. Shut up with that rubbish. After round 9, it was a wrap. Floyd took over the fight. All right? And y'all gave Oscar some early rounds where Oscar wasn't doing shit. The only thing that was working for Oscar was his jab every now and then. Nothing else was working for Oscar. His left hook was shut down. His right hand was shut down. And all those damn flurries that he was throwing wasn't doing shit because they were blocked. So y'all go off on a tangent. I mean, anybody who know boxing know Floyd would beat Sugar Ray Leonard. And it had nothing to do with Pretty Boy Floyd. Money Mayweather would matters that motherfucker. Easy. Easy. How many high throughput punches we've seen Floyd tame in that ring and control? We have Canelo Alvarez. We've seen what Canelo can do against other opponents that ain't called Floyd Mayweather. Right? We've seen what Oscar De La Hoya does against opponents not called Floyd Mayweather. We've seen what Shane Mosley did against opponents not called Floyd Mayweather. Okay? We've seen what Mika Cotto do against opponents not called Floyd Mayweather. Not to say that he didn't give Floyd a hell of a fight. That's the toughest fight I thought of Floyd's career. And Cotto is Cotto. Right? My point being, stop with the nonsense, man. You ain't gonna have somebody 20 years before you beat your ass. It ain't happening. It's very, very rare in boxing, and you have to take that person for granted. Like with Michael Moore versus George Foreman. Michael Moore was overconfident, and that's how he lost. Otherwise, he beat this guy just like everybody else of his era. He'd have beaten his ass. Okay? So let's stop with the bullshit. Let's stop bullshitting ourselves. Boxing as a sport evolves. There's no way a modern day fighter today, like a Jerome Boots Ennis, is getting beat by any one of those guys. In fact, he'd be a stiff competition for Marvin Hagler because the motherfucker's so big. He's like 180, 190 pounds. Walk around. He big. He's bigger than Marvin Hagler. And he ain't no John Mugabe who ain't got no defense. He got defense and he got offense. That's what you're seeing today. Y'all not even understanding and appreciating what you're seeing. The guys are super sharp today, super athletic today, super precise today, much more simple in their approach to boxing. No doubt about it. They ain't doing all these excessive feints and all this shit. No, not necessary. We keep it utilitarian. We keep it efficient. Okay, so they're very efficient fighters. They're not trying to do extra shit, just to entertain a crowd. Which is what Sugar Ray Leonard and those guys did. The bowler punch, foot shuffle, they excite the crowd. The other thing about fighters today is they don't give a fuck what the crowd thinks. When they in that ring fighting, they tunnel vision. They're not focusing on nothing else. Guys like Sugar Ray Leonard, they fed off the crowd. They fed off the fans. If the fans was booing their ass, they probably lose the fight. That's what happened with Leonard. He lost to Duran because the crowd wasn't in his favor. He wanted the crowd star. He weak-minded compared to Floyd. I told people this online. They didn't like it. It was offended. Oh, Sugar Ray Leonard. No, he wasn't weak-minded. He was weak-minded as fuck. And I'm going to tell you I'm going to give you 3 reasons why he was weak-minded. The first one is he couldn't leave boxing alone. He was too weak. He didn't know how to step away and stay away. That was the first one. He stepped away from boxing, came back for Terry Norris. Terry Norris whooped his ass. Stepped away from boxing, came back again. Got beat the fuck up by Hector Camacho. Okay? Weak-minded. The other reason is very, very, very simple. This man had all the skills in the world to outbox Roberto Duran. Make it an easy fight. And the fucker got drawn into fighting Duran's fight because he thought he was the bigger fighter. The same mistake y'all make it with him versus Floyd. He get goaded in very same way. Be walking down Floyd, trying to walk him down, trying to beat him up, and he would get tattooed all fucking night long Floyd don't even have to worry about range and reach because Leonard would do all that for him. He'd come to Floyd. And everybody knows a counterpuncher loves when you come to them. That's where they flourish the most. That's where they do their best work. Now, if Leonard, and he won't do it, I just know it. Leonard's not that guy. He's not going to let Floyd come chasing him down, walking him down. He's not going to do that. He's got too much pride. He got too much, too much cojones. He likes to rumble. He likes to mix it up. So I could see Leonard walking down Floyd for 12 or 15 rounds and getting tattooed up. And when he get tired, he going to get tired because you got to get your second win. Especially if it's 15 rounds. He going to get tired somewhere around the 10th and 11th round. And that's when Floyd going to turn on the juice. He going to turn on the juice on him. Okay? And I'm talking Money Mayweather. I'm not even talking Pretty Boy Floyd. Pretty Boy Floyd could throw combinations just like Leonard. Pretty Boy Floyd would be a problem for anybody. He just lacked experience. And y'all talk about Prime Leonard versus Prime Floyd. Prime Leonard wasn't the smartest boxer in the world. He was stupid. That's why he got his eye orbital messed up by Thomas Hearns. He weren't the smartest guy. That's why he got beat by Duran. Now, if you're talking about the Sugar Ray Leonard, the old ass Sugar Ray Leonard that faced Thomas Hearns, he was a smarter guy. But even then, his abilities were limited. He could get past his prime because his abilities had been limited. And he didn't know how to compensate and fight smarter. He didn't know how to close the distance on Thomas Hearns. Floyd would close the distance on Thomas Hearns because Floyd watched Aaron Pryor fight Thomas Hearns in the amateurs. Floyd knows same Thomas Hearns. And there's a way to close the distance on his ass. Not just all this wild looping right hand, overhand rights you only trying to throw. No, motherfucker, you got to slip and slide inside. Stab him to the body. It's his body. It's the body. It's the body, the body, the body, the body, the body. A guy like that, you go to the body because his body's right there. That's one thing that can't escape you. I mean, we know this now. Back then, I didn't know that shit. I was naive. So when a lot of you guys talk, I just listen to you guys talk on different forums and stuff, and I know it's just fanboy shit. Because Floyd's undefeated, and you're saying if he was in this era, or he was in that era, he wouldn't be undefeated. Maybe he wouldn't have been undefeated. I'll even concede that. He whooped them guys' ass. You know who he mightn't be undefeated to? Mike McCallum. Mike McCallum might beat his ass. Because Mike McCallum actually has defense. At 154, yeah. It's possible he could get beat by Mike McCallum. As slow as Mike McCallum is, he got defense. He's very defensively responsible. I see a guy like Mike McCallum beating Floyd. He ain't dropping him. He ain't stopping him. None of that shit. But I could see it happening because Floyd can't hit him like he wants to. To beat Floyd, you gotta have defense. You have to be hard to hit, and you have to make him pay for missing. And Leonard has some of that, but he ain't that kind of fighter. He's not. He a little bit elusive, but the thing about it is he too doggy. He tried to be a dog too much. He tried to prove something. I don't know what he's trying to prove, that he's tough or something. And he gets beat up. He gets beat the fuck up. That's Terranars did a number on him. Thomas Hearns dropped his ass twice in the rematch. Beat his ass. Okay? It's not just about cojones and going in there and just throwing punches to try and beat down a guy. You know, that's what Leonard was known for at welterweight. But who did he beat at welterweight other than Hearns and Duran and Benitez? Nobody. And don't tell me about Floyd Mayweather Sr. He is nowhere in Floyd Jr.'s class. He doesn't do half the things. He don't even do a quarter of the things that Floyd do. Okay? Y'all have to be able to know boxing, man. I'm tired of you guys coming out here talking on forums. And then when I start speaking on forums, folk be like, well, you have to look at the eye test. I just give fact after fact. I'm not even giving my opinions anymore. I just give fact after fact after fact. Okay? And these guys can't answer me on none of that. They just come back with, oh, you got to look at the eye test. You know, Duran was faster, speed, power. Look what Zab did. I said, Zab got his ass beat. What are you talking about? Look what Zab did. Floyd showed he can handle a faster fighter. Look at Oscar De La Hoya. He got beat too. Wasn't a close fight. I don't know what's wrong with you guys. Well, you know, Jose Luis Castillo, he beat Floyd. Just imagine what Duran could do. Just remember Duran. Duran wouldn't do shit to Floyd because he don't have the footwork to do shit to Floyd. Secondly, and this is just common sense, Floyd just moved up to 135 when he faced Castillo. He faced the best guy moving up in weight. What happened in the rematch? What happened in the rematch? What happened in the rematch? Why didn't Castillo do the same thing? If styles make fights, if style was the problem that Floyd had to overcome, why is it that Floyd beat Castillo easier than he did the first time? Footwork. Footwork. No way Duran beats Floyd. No way. You telling me an 80s fighter, the best of the 80s, gonna be the best of 2000 at 2010, the 2010s? Get the hell out of here with that shit. Y'all need to learn boxing, man. Y'all need to learn boxing. Hey, let me tell you something. Pacquiao gives Duran problems. Pacquiao gives Duran problems. Probably beats him. In and out fighter, man. Duran will try to bully him, try to get to the inside. Pacquiao step around, keep on beating his ass up, step around him. You saw what he did to Margarito. You saw what he did to Brandon Rios. I know they nowhere near the Duran, but that's the style. Pressure fighter. What does Floyd do his entire career? Fight pressure fighters, right? Why? Because that's the style. A counterpuncher loves pressure fighters. That's what they do. They feed off of your aggression. They feed off of your mistakes. So when I hear Sugar Ray Leonard say, I'm going to knock him out, I'm like, listen, Caleb Plant gave Canelo all the problems in the world he could ever expect. I was shocked that he got knocked out by Canelo because generally was blocking those punches. It was a leaping left hook, yes. But Caleb Plant would have gone the distance with Canelo easy if he just knew how to recoup, how to do the right things to recoup from the knockdown. Because it was just one knockdown he got. He wasn't winded. He wasn't tired. He was strong. Okay? So Canelo got that win. Good for him. But the point is, for 11 rounds, Caleb Plant was giving him all kinds of problems. 11 rounds, ladies and gentlemen. Right? Canelo hasn't gone 11 rounds, but with one guy, I think he was trying to survive. What's his name? Callum Smith. Right? Notice Caleb Plant ain't got a scratch on his face. He ain't got no bumps. Nothing. Nothing. Okay? Nothing. Why? You know why Caleb Plant ain't got nothing? Because Canelo ain't landing shit. The only thing Canelo could have landed was a jab on occasion. Okay? Y'all need to learn boxing, man. A lot of y'all, listen. Ain't my pick of Caleb Plant to win. Now y'all can see the validity. I hope you guys go back and watch the fight again because a lot of y'all don't know shit about boxing. Y'all don't understand when a guy's blocking punches, when he's catching punches, when he's riding punches. Y'all are not watching this shit. So y'all don't understand what Caleb Plant was doing in there, why he didn't get hurt at all. Most of that fight, he got hurt in the 11th round. You know, the magic round that got Canelo just pulled shit out of his ass and made it happen. Well, actually, he didn't. It was what Caleb Plant didn't do that gave Canelo the round. And kudos to Canelo on that. But you being outboxed. It was a closer fight, but you was being outboxed. You did win the fight the round before, but you was being outboxed by Caleb Plant. You was being outboxed by Caleb Plant. Caleb Plant messed up. Okay. Anything could happen in boxing. So he got caught with the left hook. I'm not saying he got messed up there. He didn't expect Canelo to do a leaping left hook, and then he caught him with an uppercut. I said he messed up when after that. He could have gotten back to his feet, took his time, took a knee, make sure his equilibrium's there, jump up at about the 9th count, 8th count, 9th count, jump up and down, get his gloves checked, and then go back into the battle. He would have had a much better chance. Try to close the distance and smother. If Canelo, stiff armed him, stay with the stiff, ride the punch, and keep it moving. You know what I'm saying? But his equilibrium was off. It was nothing. It was nothing to do with like Caleb Plant, physically had a problem. It's just his equilibrium was off. All right, and he got to go back and deal with that. You get caught with punches sometimes. You get dropped with punches sometimes. It happens, right? You got rocked with the left hook, which he didn't see. He never saw the leaping left hook coming, so he anticipated just to roll. And he still rides some of it. He rides some of it. And then he came back down and he got caught with the uppercut. And that's what really put him down, right? It was a small, sharp uppercut. Beautiful stuff by Canelo. Not saying Canelo's not a good boxer. I'm not saying he's not a great boxer. He's the greatest Mexican boxer of all time. All I'm saying is he had problems with Caleb Plant for 11 rounds. And Floyd is a tremendously more skilled, sharper, crisper with his defense and offense fighter than Caleb Plant. All right? For crying out loud, Floyd beat Canelo. And Canelo's a big fighter. He had fast hands. He doesn't have, he's very explosive. He has quick feet. He doesn't have fast feet. He's quick feet, and he doesn't really move on his feet and his toes a lot. Oscar, quick feet, quick hands, move on his toes very quickly. Throws combinations really fast. But Floyd he beat Oscar. And this is a bigger Oscar. This is an Oscar at 154. This is not even a 147 Oscar. Okay, much bigger guy than Floyd. Much bigger, taller, everything. Okay, and he beat him. And he beat him pretty easy. Okay. And Leonard, he would do the same thing. He'd be laughing all the time as he's beating Leonard's ass, just outpointing him, just schooling his ass. That's what he would do, Leonard. And I'm amazed y'all don't even know that. Listen, Leonard can't fuck with Pernell Whitaker. Pernell Whitaker would make Leonard go around and around in a circle, just like he did with Oscar. Leonard would be looking like an ass, okay? Pernell Whitaker beats Leonard, okay? Pernell Sweet Pea Whitaker beats Leonard. Jerome Ennis would have him for lunch, breakfast, and dinner. Jerome Ennis would destroy him, okay? Destroy him. He would knock him out, okay? Terrence Crawford would knock him out. He would knock him the fuck out. And I know Leonard's a tough guy. He's strong and everything. But these guys come with different angles, man. They switch hitters. They can hit you with a different angle. And they're very athletic. Much more athletic than Leonard is. You saw what Terrence Crawford did to Amir Khan. Amir Khan is a fast fighter, like Leonard. Fast hands, fast feet. Walked him into it. Walked him into the left foot. Okay? So Terrence Crawford would butcher Sugar Ray Leonard. Sugar Ray has a better chin than Amir Khan, but he would beat the fuck out of him. And Jerome Ennis would do the same. Okay? Because boxing as a sport evolves. Do I think Jerome Ennis would beat Floyd Mayweather or Terrence Crawford? I'm not. I mean, they don't have the resume to back it up, but fuck, they would give him all kinds of problems. All kinds of problems. This is just what it is. And y'all have to understand that. Would they beat his ass? Probably. Jerome Ennis is 5'11" with a 72-inch reach, 73-inch reach. He can switch it. He can fight on the inside. He can fight on the outside. He's quick. He's sharper than Floyd. Are you kidding me? This is boxing, y'all. This ain't about my favorite fighter. A lot of y'all think it's my favorite. Floyd's my favorite fighter. I'm like, Floyd. No, he's the gold standard right now. And these younger fighters are taking inspiration from him and from the past greats, putting it together, and they're coming with something even more vicious, even better than what he was. Look at Canelo. Canelo's 31, and he's faced 18 world champions. 17 or 18 world champions. We're not talking about Rocky Fielding. Fuck him. 18 world champions. Okay? Phenomenal. Okay? This is what the next generation, they're inspired by the previous generation. It's supposed to be better, man. It's supposed to be better. A lot of y'all OGs and nostalgics, y'all talk out your ass. Oh, my era was the great era. It was golden era. Stop talking shit and appreciate what you're seeing. We just saw last weekend the very first super middleweight undisputed champion of the world. And stop the bullshit about, Canelo, he only fought guys who were like bums. They was real guys. No, he did fight real guys. He just made them look like bums. Callum Smith was the #1 super middleweight in the division. Even David Benavidez thought Callum Smith was going to whoop Canelo ass. And that's not what happened. Then came Caleb Plant. I'm sorry. Then came Billy Joe Saunders, who I rated above Caleb Plant in terms of ability, skills, and experience because he was the most experienced guy. And he beat that guy like he stole something. Okay? He beat him up. Okay, Caleb got 2 rounds, 4 and 5, but that was about it. I'm Billy Joe Saunders. What the hell am I talking about? Then he faced Caleb Plant, who I picked to beat him. Okay, and Caleb was winning the majority of the rounds, 6-4. After the 10th, I thought going to the 11th, oh yeah, he gonna really put, he gonna mess up Canelo. Nope, Canelo stopped him. Okay, you gotta give him kudos for that. And Caleb showed lack of experience in terms of what to do when you get knocked down. And all I'm saying is, y'all need to know boxing. If y'all don't even know what the hell, they know nobody in the history of boxing been undisputed super middleweight champion. That made Canelo's done something that all the other super middleweights, all the great ones, didn't do. I'm not saying he's better than them. I'm just saying they didn't do it. And then there's his resume is ridiculous, man. His resume is ridiculous. Ridiculous. Okay? And he's only 31. He's going to go until he's like 35, 36, maybe 37. So this dude ain't done. So what he might accomplish in boxing might surpass Pacquiao, Mayweather, all them guys. He going to break new records. Okay? And am I mad about it? Hell no. Boxing as a sport evolves. And guys are supposed to get better. So y'all who hate on Mayweather or you hate on Pacquiao, y'all stupid. Y'all stupid. Because these guys broke records that never had been broken before. And y'all trying to make all kinds of excuses about it and stuff. Because, Pacquiao was Mayweather's nemesis. And because of Pacquiao, Mayweather didn't really get the shine that he needed to get. Because Pacquiao, it was this versus thing. And Pacquiao's fans, the Pactards, they constantly at every turn just put out false information on Floyd Mayweather. This whole talk about Floyd being a runner, that came from fucking Pactards, man. Pactards. Floyd ain't no runner. He's one of the greatest boxers you'll ever meet. He is the best or greatest counterpuncher you will ever have met. This motherfucker used to counterpunch. He make you miss, make you pay. He did it better than any other fighter in the history of motherfucking boxing, man. In the history of boxing. Let that register inside of your thick skull. In the history of boxing, this is the only guy who counterpunched that well. In the history of boxing, I'm going to say it again. In the history of boxing, there are lots of guys who are flamboyant. There's lots of guys who traded. There's a lot of guys that did mixing. They mix up really well and everything. There's lots of guys with great defense. But this dude, what he specializes in doing and what he shut your ass down with is making you miss and he make you pay for missing. That's what he did. That's what he did. That's what he's good at doing. That's why a lot of guys don't throw combinations. And a lot of counter punches are the hardest guys to face in boxing. They're the hardest. Any other style, is not as hard because it's straight up and down. But counter punching and being the best at that is a problem. It's not just making them miss. It's making them pay for missing. And you have to have another counter puncher who's on that level as Floyd Mayweather, like a Pernell Whitaker, like a Mike McCallum, like and again, some of these guys, they don't get the shine that they deserve, but this is the style to deal with a style that Floyd brings to the table. You gotta have a counter puncher, whether he's a counter puncher, a puncher, or he's a counter puncher, but you gotta have a counter puncher face a counter puncher to really beat a counter puncher, not a pressure fighter. It's exciting to watch a pressure fighter go against a counter puncher. Very exciting because the pressure fighter will keep bringing the action and stuff. But you want a counter puncher to face a counter puncher. And one of them is going to have to lead out. One of them is going to have to be the pressure fighter. You can't. Two counter punchers are not going to just stand and watch each other. They're not going to do that. One's going to press the fight. Zab Judah versus Floyd Mayweather. Zab Judah's a counter puncher. Okay? Most of Zab Judah's most explosive shots that he knocked out guys with, or even caught guys with and bust their lip or bust their face, whatever, was out off a counterpunch. Zab cocks that left hand, rolls that shoulder, and come back with the left hand, okay? So somebody there had to be the aggressor. Floyd chose to be the aggressor from the get-go, beating at Zab's body, and then he was walking down Zab later on in the fight. But because Zab is an aggressive counterpuncher who likes to fight in the pocket, Zab got beat up. If he just moved his legs and stepped around the ring and tried to box on the outside, it would have been a hell of a lot harder fight for Floyd. Hell of a lot harder fight for Floyd. Okay? Pernell Whitaker was also a counterpuncher, but he thrived off of defense. Him and Nicolina Loesch, Willie Pep. All right? So, Willie Pep, Nicolina Loesch, what's the Mexican fighter's name? I forgot what his name is. These are defensive fighters. Floyd is a defensive fighter too, but he ain't like them guys. Okay? Those guys, they showed you their defense. They wanted to show you how good their defense was. James Toney's another one of them, right? They like to showcase their defense. So you call those guys the true defensive fighters. So Willie Pep, he had the footwork, step around you, pop, 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 step around you, pop, 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 right? But as a result of that, if you're just purely a defensive fighter, there's going to be guys who will overwhelm you and beat you up. Floyd's not just purely a defensive fighter. Why Floyd's able to control his opponents and beat them up and shit is because he's a counterpuncher by nature. He's not just a defensive fighter, he counterpunch. And you could throw an 8-punch combination, and in between those 8 punches, he's going to slip in 1 or 2 because it's timing. And deter you from throwing more punches. And even if you're tough and you stick with your game plan like Miguel Cotto is, he outsmarts you, he change up the angle, and he just be tagging you all night long. He might even stop you. Okay, he's very Floyd always been a tough ask for anybody in any era. That's why he all-time great, right? Manny Pacquiao, same thing. Manny Pacquiao's a counterpuncher. An aggressive counterpuncher, but he's a counterpuncher. He thrives off of you. Yeah, he does cut angles and stuff to get you where you can't get him, just like Floyd does. But ultimately, in the end, he thrives off a counterpunching your ass. Shout out to Xing Yang TV. I guess this dude's from China. He says he's laughing. And then Poopy Sister says people still hating on Floyd even in retirement. Yeah, man. But a lot of them don't know shit about boxing. I go through the comments and I see the people who know boxing and they say what they say. And I begin to realize that a lot of these packtards out here, man, they be saying a lot of shit. Like they talking about how he uses forearm on guys to push their head back when it's the guys running into him head first that he's using the forearm to keep them off. Okay, it's just like what Canelo did with Caleb Plant, where he stiff-armed him, except Floyd's doing it with a collapsible guard. Okay, and it's called spacing. It's not called spacing. It's called it's actually a technique in boxing. And it's totally legit. And I learned that from a boxer who was just talking, and he commented on it just a minute ago in a group. Boxing Monster said Floyd would never fight a boxer like Sugar Ray Leonard, at least not while Sugar Ray was still in his prime. Get the fuck out of here. Sugar Ray Leonard is the biggest thing in his prime. That's a big money fight. You telling me Mayweather wouldn't want to? Man, 36-year-old Money Mayweather took on Canelo Alvarez, 154 pounds, right? Lightning quick feet, fast hands, beat the fuck out of him, okay? Now you telling me Money Mayweather, I'm not even going to talk about Pretty Boy Floyd, because Pretty Boy Floyd would take it on Leonard in a heartbeat, okay? Money fucking Mayweather, his name is Money. You're telling me Money Mayweather is going to turn down a big fucking money-making event? You can make tons of money facing Sugar Ray Leonard. He not going to face you. Get the fuck out of here with that shit, man. Y'all's balls deep sucking dick, man. Y'all sucking these guys' dick. I'm sorry about the language, but y'all suck these guys' dick. You telling me an obsolete fighter who got beat the fuck up by Terry Norris. Sorry about the F-bombs, but people, it's boxing language. He got beat up by Terry Norris. I mean, beat the fuck fuck up. He got dropped twice. Terry Norris is a boxer. He a boxer puncher, but he mostly a boxer. You saw what he did to John Mugabe. He flatlined John Mugabe because John Mugabe ain't got no fucking defense. He don't bring his hands back. Sugar Ray Leonard got destroyed by him. Okay? You look at Terry Norris' style, it's a much more modern style of boxing, much more compact, quicker style. All right? Terry Norris destroyed Sugar Ray Leonard, destroyed his ass. Okay? But Floyd, suddenly Floyd's little Floyd and all this shit, get the fuck out of here, man. Seriously. Seriously. It's annoying. You're going to look at a guy who fought from the 2000s to the 2010s. And you will say he going to get beat by a guy from 1970s to 1980s. Get the fuck out of here with that shit. Y'all really believe boxing hasn't evolved? It hasn't grown. I'm going to ask you this stupid question. Terrence Crawford and Jerome Ennis versus Sugar Ray Leonard. Who wins? Who gets knocked the fuck out? I don't even have to think about it. I know Jerome Ennis is going to knock out Sugar Ray Leonard. Okay? Because styles make fights, man. Styles make fights. Okay? And y'all clearly are nostalgic motherfuckers. Y'all holding on to the past. I guess y'all gonna say Sugar Ray Robinson would beat the modern fighters today. Jerome Ennis and Errol Spencer. They bigger than these motherfuckers, first of all. They bigger than them. These are guys coming down from 180. 180 to welterweight, man. Are you serious? They sharper than them. They quicker than them. They got better fucking defense than them. They might be simpler in their approach because they cut all the bullshit out. And Sugar Ray Robinson was fundamentally sound, but you can't just be fundamentally sound today. Victor Postol was a fundamentally sound boxer. Terrence Crawford pieced that ass up. He knocked him down how many times? 3, 4, 5 times? Pieced that ass up. Okay? Kell Brooks, a fundamentally sound fighter with some special effects. He pivots very nicely. Terrence Crawford knocked that ass out. He knocked him the fuck out. Okay? Now he gonna be facing Sean Porter. You know who Sean Porter is? Aaron fucking Pryor on steroids. He's not as accurate. Sean Porter would piece up Sugar Ray Leonard. Piece his ass up. Otherwise, he would have faced Aaron Pryor. And Sean Porter's a bigger guy. He coming down from 200 pounds. He'd piece his ass up. Give Floyd all kinds of problems. Give Floyd all kinds of problems. We say Floyd is TBE. He give him all kinds of problems. Why? It's the next generation. Y'all stupid, man. It's the next gen of fighter. Just like how you have the next generation of car. Y'all tripping. I appreciate the former greats for what they did in boxing. But realistically speaking, unless the younger boxers drop the ball, they can't fuck with them. They can't fuck them past greats. They're great, but they can't fuck with these guys. I hear people talking about Mike Tyson versus Tyson Fury, and Mike Tyson could take on Tyson Fury right now. Dude, you want to see Mike Tyson get slept? You want to see him get slept? Let him face Fury. Now, the Tyson of the past, as explosive and spectacular as he looked, his ass can't go backwards. He can't fight going backwards. What do you think Tyson Fury would do to his ass? Man, he'd be a fucking punching bag. 270 pounds? Coming down in the form of a fucking jab, pushing your ass back? You can't do shit. Because what? Because he can't go backwards. He can't fight going backwards. He would get butchered, motherfucker. Butchered. Y'all be watching the funeral coronation. Y'all ain't no more excuses. Because you kill him in the ring. I mean, this ain't rocket science, man. This ain't rocket science. Okay? Don't tell me about no Jack Dempsey versus Sugar Ray Leonard. Don't tell me about no Rocky Marciano versus Tyson Fury. That's stupid. That's stupid. That's stupid. That's a stupid fight. We don't want to see that. That's one-sided. Y'all think Lennox Lewis would beat Tyson Fury, and I'm looking at y'all like y'all tripping. Y'all tripping. And Lennox Lewis, hell of a fighter, but there's no way he's beating Tyson Fury. No way. No how. There's several ways Tyson Fury could beat him, and there's only one way he could try and beat Tyson Fury, or two. There's several ways Tyson Fury could beat him. Tyson Fury got legs, agility, even though he goofy looking and he fight goofy. He got size on him. He got boxing IQ just like Lennox Lewis. Younger. Come on, man. And he never been stopped. Lennox Lewis been stopped. We know he can get chin checked. Okay? So, I mean, it's just like, no disrespect to the past greats. They were great, but for their time. Put it in context. We don't need to see a fantasy one-on-one. They never will face each other anyway. You can look at their accomplishments and what they did and all that kind of stuff. But if you match them up, very few of those matchups would be competitive fights. They'd be mismatches. They'd be mismatches because, and listen to me carefully about this. They're mismatches not because the fighters weren't great fighters in their time. It's because knowledge. Boxing is based on knowledge. It's not based on, how much bravado you have, how many knockouts you have. None of that shit. It's about what you know. And you only know what you know by what you do. By doing is knowing. That's boxing. Okay? And if you think about, say, for instance, Floyd Mayweather again, we go back to him for a minute because that's the hot name out there. You go back to Floyd Mayweather. Every type and style of fighter that Sugar Ray Leonard faced, Floyd has faced a version of that. He faced a version of Sugar Ray Leonard in a ripped down, poor man's version in Oscar De La Hoya. He faced a sort of unorthodox inside fighter like Duran in Marcos Maidana. Right? He faced a sort of Sugar Ray Robinson-ish imitator, poor man's version of Sugar Ray Robinson in Sugar Shane Mosley. Mosley patented his life and everything and called himself after Sugar Ray Robinson. He's more like Sugar Ray Robinson than Leonard is. Sugar Ray Robinson fought at middleweight and welterweight at a certain point in time. Mosley jumped up and down in the smaller version of the middleweight division known as junior middleweight. He was in junior middleweight and he was down at welterweight. He do the same thing. He fought in both weight classes. Okay, Sugar Shane Mosley did a lot of things like Sugar Ray Robinson. Started off at lightweight like Sugar Ray Robinson, etc., right? So my point anyway is, Floyd has faced broken down versions of these guys, and we saw how he handled them. Okay? He even faced versions that those guys ducked, right? Sugar Ray Leonard ducked Aaron Pryor. Floyd faced a sort of broken down version of Aaron Pryor, a relentless version of Manny Pacquiao. All right? He never faced no Pernell Whitaker. He never faced a Pernell Whitaker. Okay? He faced a broken down version, very broken down version of Thomas Hearns at super featherweight. You had the Diego Corrales, and you also had Tony Pep. You also had Gennaro Hernandez, was a skilled veteran fighter that reminded me a little bit of sort of Oscar De La Hoya kind of type, but not really. All right? So my point anyway is this. Height, length, size, power, strength. These things only work for you if you know how to use them. Your strength and your size only works for you if you're putting your weight down on your opponent Your reach only works for you if you can cut the right angles with footwork. Reach and footwork work hand in hand. Sugar Ray Leonard, I'm gonna go scientific on y'all fucking ass because y'all. Sugar Ray Leonard moved with a certain rhythmic beat with his feet. He had fast feet, but only when he chose to move them fast. So he moved with a certain rhythm or beat. Floyd moved with small steps, constantly pivoting with small steps, like Pacquiao. He stepped with quick little duck steps, like Roy Jones Jr. His rhythm and beat is not easy to find, first of all, and secondly, he can catch you in between your stepping, in between your beats, because you're not planted, you don't have a stable base. Leonard used to just step. Floyd, he do small shuffles or small successive steps. Roy, Floyd, Pacquiao. I'm explaining now. I'm gonna be a little scientific on y'all because y'all don't understand timing and rhythm at all in space. Where Leonard would throw one probing jab, and Leonard was fundamental with the jab, just like Sugar Ray Robinson. He's fundamental with the jab. He threw it certain ways. Floyd threw several different kinds of jab, of which one of the most effective ones is the spear jab. That's where you slip off at an angle, it look like an uppercut, and you dig from down low up top. Spear jab. That's a serious weapon because when you throw a spear jab, you're not in the line of fire, especially the way how Floyd's footwork is. And he would snap the spear jab and he pivot off the way. And remember, his stepping or his rhythm is small steps. So he changed off the angles just slightly and you don't even know. And he pop you after that. He pop you. It's called threading the needle. That's why when you talk about length and reach, y'all don't know what the fuck y'all talking about. Seriously. Because at the end of the day, reach don't mean shit if you going down the wrong angle. It don't mean shit. In fact, you might get tagged quicker because you throw and you extended yourself down the wrong angle. Then the other guy counterpunch your ass. That's what Floyd do. He counterpunch. He is the best counterpuncher you'll ever find. Okay? Because he understands angles very, very well. And he has the footwork to get him in position and get you out of position. And he trap set. That's what he do. Duran. Floyd valued Duran so much because Duran do the same thing. Bait and counter. Trap set. Except Floyd don't just bait. He can also throw a very decent jab. Roy Jones Jr., same thing. Trap sets. This is something y'all don't understand. Y'all talking about Leonard would beat Floyd and Floyd would never face Leonard in his prime. Why the fuck wouldn't he face him in his prime? You think Floyd got to where he got to because he was afraid of somebody and he didn't think he was the best? The motherfucker thinks he's the best. He tells you that every day. He ain't afraid of nobody. He don't think there's anybody that could beat him. That's why he say what he say. But he can't keep on saying it because there's no way to back it up. I can't say I'm gonna whoop Sugar Ray Leonard's ass because I can't ever go back in time and face him. So I can't prove it. And Floyd's a guy about his words. When he says I'm a better fighter than Muhammad Ali, there's facts to back it. He don't say shit if there ain't no facts to back up what he's saying. He's not just gonna say, oh, this or that. He's saying things that are backed up by fact. That's why he ain't arrogant. He's not boasting. And you will see a lot of modern day fighters today doing the very same thing. Carissa Shields, Errol Spence, Terrence Crawford. They know what they know about themselves because they know themselves. And it's not bragging when you say, I am the best or I am the pound for pound this or that. That's what the sport's built on. Okay? So him saying he was better than Muhammad Ali, there's absolutely nothing wrong with him saying that. And he has the record. He has the boxing IQ. He has the skill set. He has the smarts. He has the history to back that up. Okay? And goes for all the young fighters. If Jerome Ennis says none of them guys can fuck with me, I can see it. When I see him fight, I see that they can't fuck with him because he switches up so smooth and nice, get those different angles and knock guys out cold because he can find those angles. And when you switch hitting like that and you really know how to use your feet and your hands to get those angles, he the truth. I could say it right now. It's early in his career, but I could say that because I see what he does in there. And he didn't even show us everything yet. Right? And he's solid, he's strong, and he's sharp. He's very, very solid. And he's smoking guys that was giving other people problems in rounds. They're not top tier guys, but he's smoking them. Okay, and he's knocking on the door. And them top tier guys, they're not enthusiastic to face Boots. Nobody's enthusiastic to face Boots. You want to know somebody Sugar Ray Leonard with a duck? Boots. Because he ducked like the plague Aaron Pryor. Okay? He ducked Boots. He would duck him. He would duck Terrence Crawford. He would duck him. He would duck, goose him. Okay? Because them guys is problems. Okay? Floyd, he had to face them beasts, whether it's Crawford or and then that's what Floyd pretty much said it. He said, man, I'm too old for this shit. Right? He said, I'm too old for this shit. I'm getting out the game. Okay? Why? Because they would beat his ass. And he knows this. He knows it. He knows it's very possible they would beat his ass. It's not he's running from them, but he's like, I'm old, man. I don't want to get my ass beat up like that. I seen what happened to Muhammad Ali and stuff. You know what I'm saying? Crawford is a problem. Boots is a problem. All right? Errol's a problem. Okay? These are problem guys. Sean Porter's a problem. The current era of welterweights are problems. Period. Ain't no fucking 80s Leonard running through them guys. He's not running through those guys. But y'all get associated with Hagler, Hearns, Duran. Hagler, Hearns, Duran. So y'all just, they're the epitome. And these guys give them due respect. They say, you know, I wish we could be like Hagler, Hearns, Duran. But y'all getting Hagler, Hearns, Duran on steroids these days. Almost all of the top welterweights facing each other. But what y'all got to say? All y'all got to say is, oh, he ain't faced Terrence Crawford. He ain't faced this. He ain't faced that. Because y'all ain't watching. Danny Garcia faced Keith Thurman and Sean Porter. Sean Porter faced Ugas, the current WBA champion. Okay? He faced Ugas, Errol, Thurman. Now going to face Terrence. What are you talking about is not the age of the four kings. What the fuck is wrong with y'all? They facing everybody. Everybody's facing everybody at welterweight. But y'all can't see that because y'all stuck in nostalgia. I'm going to get y'all guys later. I'm what you need. Peace out.